Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Before we get into it, I want to give a huge shout out to my old faithfuls. Thank you so much for the support that you've shown my channel over the years. I really appreciate it. I also want to give a huge shout out to my channel members. Thank you for all of the additional support that you provide to my channel every month. I really appreciate it. I also want to give a huge welcome to the newbies to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking that subscribe button. And if you've come across this video and are not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button. I'd be happy to have you. Now, I follow AT2 here on YouTube. If you are not following him, you should be. He finds some of the most interesting interviews, clips regarding politics, race, social issues. He finds it all out there on social media, and it's not clips that a lot of people are talking about. And so I was over there on his page and he found a clip of this young woman named Miriam. I don't know if she's here in the United States or if she is in the UK. She has an accent, but she did an interview with Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks. Now, you know, I am no fan of Anna Kasparian. Y'all know I don't care for her at all. She is the reason why I stopped watching the Young Turks. Her mask fell off for me years ago, years ago. And then not too long after that, Jank's mask fell off for me. If you don't know, I don't like the Young Turks. I don't watch the Young Turks. I believe Anna Kasparian and Jank are anti-Black. I believe they are classist, and I believe they are elitist. I believe that they are Republican shills. I believe they are Republican ops. I believe that they get some type of payment to create chaos and division amongst the left and the Democrats because yeah, all throughout the 2024 campaign, yeah, they had more to say about Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and the Democrats than they did about Republicans and fascism and racism and marginalized communities being affected by fascism and racism coming from Donald Trump and his sycophants. They have more to say about Democrats and Kamala Harris. They criticized Kamala Harris from the rooter to the tutor, not so much when it came down to Donald Trump. I mean, Anna Kasparian, she just refused to acknowledge Donald Trump and Project 2025. Anywho, Anna Kasparian did an interview with Miriam, and they discussed mainly some of the issues that plague this chaos in the division between Democrats and people on the left. Race, classism, um, identity politics, you know, that type of thing. So there, when AT2 did his video, he had several clips that he included that he provided commentary and his thoughts and opinions on. There were two that I want to add my 2 cents to. Okay. And so yeah, let's get into it.
It was meant to be, right? Which was to highlight the ways in which our distinctions make us privy to certain forms of oppression within society. I don't think they were originally destined to pit us against one another. How do you think that occurred? Like, how did we go from sort of just understanding that your subjectivity as a Black disabled woman, for example, makes you more vulnerable to a certain number of factors within society to sort of creating sort of these hierarchies that separate us, I suppose is what you're saying.
Well, because the way that we talked about these issues kind of led to a form of grievance politics and calls for punishment toward groups of people who never carried out those bad acts against anyone. You get what
I want y'all to understand the direction in which Anna is moving into. Okay. Anna is heading into that direction of which races always head into when Black people are talking about systemic racism and oppression, when they are talking about reparations. That's where she's headed into, where racists always say, why do I have to pay when I didn't have slaves or I didn't own slaves? That's where Anna is heading into with this conversation. But let's keep going.
Thanks. So, an example, and like, I'm personally not offended by this. I don't really care, but I know how devastating and toxic it is to a society. So, for instance, after the George Floyd protests happened and everything,
notice all of the examples that she's able to choose from. She chooses George Floyd because George Floyd is in direct relation to Black people. Remember the Black Lives Matter marches?
There was this culture of people openly saying some pretty horrific things about, people with light skin.
Light skin is white skin. And the culture of people that she's talking about, being that she brought up George Floyd, she's talking about Black people.
Just open racism against white people. And I know
she's now heading into reverse racism. We all know that reverse racism does not exist. The definition of racism is prejudice, bias, plus power, meaning you have to be a certain race that holds power to hurt other races. Black people can be prejudiced. Black people can be biased. Black people cannot be racist because we hold no power. And Anna Kasparian knows that. This is a dog whistle to MAGA. They've been courting MAGA, the people who are leaving MAGA, but they use racism to lure MAGA onto their side, right? She knows this. Black people have no power to hold any other race down, to oppress any other race. We have no power. But what race holds all of that power?
White people have been of privilege, right? White, if you're a working class person, you're screwed. And how is it helpful to now do the reverse of the terrible, bigoted or biased comments that were said about other groups of people? Like, you're not going to change the culture unless you're willing to reject all of that, right?
What Anna is saying is that you're not going to change the culture, meaning Black people should not speak up about their oppression. Black people should not correct racism and racist. Black people should not continuously remind white people of history so that you can learn from history so you don't repeat the mistakes of the past. Why? Because it makes white people feel bad. It makes white people feel bad. So no, we want Black people to stop talking about their oppression, the racism. We want to forget all of that. We want a clean slate and let's just move forward. And Black people, if you experience racism and oppression, don't talk about it.
Want to see it directed at anyone. I even saw it directed at Asians during the affirmative action fights because there were a group of Asians who challenged affirmative action all the way to the Supreme Court. And so all of a sudden you have a minority group in the United States that.
Okay. Another example she brings up, the Asians who sided with a white supremacist. They were funded by a white supremacist, Edward Bloom. Edward Bloom has been trying to take Black people back for decades. They finally got some Asians to come on board because they know white people, if white people tried to send this case up to the Supreme Court, it would get thrown out. But another marginalized community, yeah, we'll use them to get this case to go up to the Supreme Court. And it got overturned. But you see, Anna's not going to tell you that. A white man was behind the overturning of affirmative action. And yes, Asian people allowed themselves to be used probably because of their own bias, their own prejudice against Black people. Edward Bloom told Asians, yeah, Black people, because of affirmative action, Black people are taking seats that are rightfully yours. They're not smarter than you. And they fell for it. This is what Anna is talking about. So another group of people, the culture that she's talking about, again, is Black people. So Black people, stop talking about your oppression. Stop talking about your racism. Stop talking about the things that affect you. Just accept it so that we all can move forward to getting rid of Israel. That's Anna's whole sole goal. Period. She wants to get rid of Israel, and she will use whatever to get to that end goal.
People on the left were saying some pretty horrific things about because of the fact that they're Asian. Oh, Asians think so highly of themselves.
She's talking about Black people. She's talking about Black people because it's Black people that were saying that Asian people think they're white. So I just want to make sure that we're all clear, that we all understand the direction that Anna is taking. When she says the people on the left, she's talking about Black people in this conversation that she's having with Miriam. She's talking about Black people specifically. Okay? All right. Here's the next clip.
On the left, you have people who are obsessed with their own personal identity more than anything else. So yes, racism does exist. That does need to be at the intersection of the class battle. Anyone who denies that is just living in a fantasy world. However, when you, and this has been a really big problem, when you uplift or you prioritize how different and fractured we are from one another, when your politics becomes about not class war, but your own personal grievances, all you're going to do is cause fights, and that's what you see on the left constantly. Everyone's fighting each other, broken coalitions, fracturing, and basically where we're at today, which is nowhere. We have Trump, a complete buffoon, elected for the second time, destroying not just our...
Who helped Trump get elected, Anna? Who helped Trump get elected? You and Jank did. You and Jank constantly, you spent the entire election season dogging Democrats and Kamala Harris. Every move she made, every move Hakeem Jeffries made, every move Democrats made, you spent your time dogging them out instead of talking about the racism, the hatred, the fascism that was coming from the left. You denounced Project 2025. Who do you think that benefited, Anna? That benefited Donald Trump, right? So, yeah, how did Donald Trump get into the White House? It's because of people like you and Jank.
But the globe as we speak. And so I was warning the left in the lead up to the 2024 election. Guys, this immigration issue is really hurting the Democrats. They got to take it.
Why was immigration an issue, Anna? The Democrats and the Republicans put forth legislation. Donald Trump intervened, threatened the Republicans, and then they turned against that legislation. That legislation did not get passed. So immigration is an issue? Absolutely. But immigration is an issue because Republicans don't want the issue solved. They use that issue to get Donald Trump back into the White House. You didn't remind your viewers about the bipartisan legislation that came to be. You didn't remind them that was a thing. No. And Donald Trump squashed it. You didn't remind your people of that. Furthermore, immigration was not the top issue during the election season. Gaza wasn't even the top issue during the election season. It was a top issue for the people on the left. That's it. Immigration was not even an issue for the people on the left or on the right. The top issue was the economy, Anna. So I don't know why you're bringing up immigration. I don't know.
I got it. Okay, all right. Well, when you see the shift to the Republican Party, hopefully you'll wake up to the fact that we've made mistakes and maybe we can change. Maybe we can do better moving forward. We'll see.
The shift to the Republican Party was not because of immigration. In my opinion, the shift to the Republican Party was racism. Donald Trump was speaking about deporting and mass deportations and all of that. Yeah, he was talking about that, but it's because of people like you with large platforms that did not remind voters of what he did with that immigration bill that a Republican brought to the floor, that was signed on a bipartisan level, meaning that Democrats and Republicans said, yes, this is a great immigration policy. The people who work in immigration were even saying that, yes, they were begging Republicans to sign the legislation into law. Donald Trump stopped that, though. Anna.
But don't you see some of the identitarianism on the right as well? Because I feel like there's a victimhood in the white identity narrative as well that we see today.
Absolutely.
Us, we have been neglected for so long.
Yes.
We're now the oppressed.
Yes.
We're the real minority. We're going to be replaced. I mean, I personally see echoes of that in a lot of the right-wing discourse. It's just like a different side of the coin, but it happens to be the one that holds power.
Exactly.
It feels much more dangerous, right? One is kind of people who are disenfranchised.
Miriam is exactly right. The people on the right, Anna don't have a problem with that. The people on the right are talking about replacement. We're going to be replaced and all of this stuff. And we are the oppressed. But they are the group that holds the power. So if people like Anna uplift that nonsense while harping on the people on the left, Black people who are talking about the same thing, the people with the power end up with legislation to protect them, which further hurts the people on the left, Black people. Shout out to Miriam.
Is calling for, more power in society, whether they're doing that in terms that you agree with or not. But the other is literally cementing that power institutionally along the basis of race. I mean, didn't the Trump administration just get rid of a whole bunch of Black and brown military officials recently who were up for promotion? Wasn't this a thing?
Yes.
They got rid of a bunch of military officials that probably raised some red flags about what Pete Hegseth wants to do in the Middle East. Definitely. There's no question. Yeah.
So you don't think that race was a part of that? You don't think
that is a problem.
Yeah.
That is a problem. That is a problem. I honestly don't want to.
Shout out to Miriam, because Anna tried to spin that a little bit. She tried to spin that away from race to the leaders in charge were trying to stand in the way of Pete Hegseth. That's what Anna tried to do. And Miriam was like, so wait a minute. You don't think race had anything to do? Shout out to Miriam for not allowing her to do that, because then she has to come back and she has to say that, yeah, absolutely race has to do it. But watch what she says as she acknowledges that.
It's about what Pete Hegseth wants to do in the Middle East. Definitely. There's no question. Yeah.
So you don't think that race was a part of that? You don't think
that is a problem.
Yeah.
That is a problem. That is a problem. I honestly don't want to spend my entire life and career harping on race. Okay, that's where I'm at. I'm an American. We live in a diverse country. Everyone needs to be treated with equality and respect. But at the end of the day, what pits us against each other the most.
Everybody needs to be treated with a level of respect. But that but says that's not important. Race is not, that but says race is not important.
Are the elites, are those who steal money from every single one of our paychecks and funnel it to a foreign country so they can do atrocities, so they can expand their borders. Yes, I'm talking about Israel. I'm going to be.
Listen. Two things can be true. Racism is a huge problem. The elites, the 1%, they are pitting marginalized communities, those of the lower class, against each other. Two things can be true. And you cannot fight classism without also fighting racism. Period. The end. I don't care if you don't want to think about race. I don't care if you're tired of talking about race. Us Black people are tired of having to deal with racism, and people who don't want to acknowledge it because it keeps it in play.
First country, everyone needs to be treated with equality and respect. But at the end of the day, what pits us against each other the most are the elite, are those who steal money from every single one of our paychecks and funnel it to a foreign country so they can do atrocities, so they can expand their borders. Yes, I'm talking about Israel. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't give a shit about race at all. At all. I don't think about it. I don't look at people and see them as a race. I see them as my fellow American. And I know that that's very offensive to some. I know some people want you to be obsessed with race. They want you to be thinking about race 24/7. I don't do that. For the people on the right who are obsessed with their white race, you're part of the problem. You're just part of the problem. No one's looking to replace you. You live in the greatest country in the world. It's being destroyed by these nonsense conversations that, again, class Americans against each other based on utter nonsense. That's how I think. That's my honest opinion.
And I'm sure lots of people would say, it's easy to move through the world as white women, which we do, without thinking about race.
Yes.
I mean, right.
I love how Anna says she has light skin. Girl, you're white. I know you like to tell people that you're Armenian. You are white. Your race is white. You're not just light skinned. Anywho, I just, to the people that like to say, I don't see race, I don't see color, none of that ever comes to my mind, you're liars. And you are dismissing Black people. When Anna says she does not give a shit about race, she's saying that she doesn't give a shit about Black unemployment. Black unemployment right now is at 7.3%, while our white counterparts, the unemployment rate is at 3.7. That's what Anna is saying she doesn't give a shit about. When Anna says, I don't give a shit about race, she doesn't give a shit about the 300,000 Black women that have lost their job. She doesn't give a shit. When Anna says she doesn't give a shit about race, she doesn't give a shit about Black history being whitewashed. She doesn't give a shit about Black books, Black authors being banned. When Anna says she doesn't give a shit about race, she's basically saying that she doesn't care that Black women cannot get quality health care unless they find a Black physician. Because too many white physicians think that Black people have the superhuman gene still. We don't feel pain the same as white people. When Anna Kasparian says that she doesn't give a shit about race, that means she doesn't care about the systemic oppression that Black people are living under. When she says she doesn't give a shit about race, she doesn't care about Black people and their votes being suppressed. She doesn't care about them wiping out Black representation. She doesn't give a shit about any of that because she doesn't give a shit about race. When you sit on your white high horse and say you don't give a shit about race, that tells me you don't give a shit about Black people. Mhm. And that's all I've got to say about that.